Hey everybody, welcome back to the Fit, Fearless, and Faithful Mom. I wanted to talk about living life in the temporal. So I think we can all agree that we sometimes get caught up in the materialistic world, whether it's social media, whether it's working out, whether it's with food, anything. Look, you pick anything besides God, that is the temporal, right? And so with that, I want to give you a little insight into where I am where I have been in the past. So a couple years ago, I mentioned that we had flooded, and so we moved into a new house, thank goodness, like a little temporary house for a while, and then we moved into our new house a little while after that. And there are a couple things that happened during that flood. First of all, I had horrible postpartum depression. Then we had flooded, and so it was this like whole whirlwind thing. Now you can look at that and say like, oh, why me? Blah. And I totally, because I had depression, I was a mess. Okay, I was a big mess. But through that, with going to a Catholic counselor, with working with a priest, I realized like this is an opportunity, and we all have opportunities for growth. We can go one of two ways. We can continue down the pity party road, or we can grow from it. And it's one of like the crucible moments that I talk about a lot. One of two things can happen with the crucible. You can either go down the pity party road, or you can grow with it. Well, after throwing a pity party, and just feeling like total garbage for a little while, I decided to grow with it. And I think one of the biggest things, God makes us move a lot of times when we're not listening. And so, up until that point, I was really wanting to grow a Beachbody business, be a working mom, also be with the kids, and have materialistic stuff. And I wasn't super materialistic, but I wanted to grow these businesses even more and do this even more and do that even more. And those were all the temporal things. And I think God was trying to get my attention. No, he was trying to get my attention. And then we had the flood, and it was like, I'm making you move right now because you're not listening to me. So that was one of the biggest changes, I think, in my life that I've had, where God was like, why are you relying on trying to grow these businesses on your own and do this and do that, And it was foolish. Like I was asking God, like, hey, is this what you want me to do? And clearly, no. And so now we're here, and I'm homeschooling and, doing these videos and still working on my blog. But God makes us move in a lot of different ways. And sometimes it's really big ways, those 2x4 moments, which ours was a flood. So after a while, I chose to grow from it, and I realized what's important and what's not. Now, during that time, I was learning a lot of lessons, but that's when I started running even more. So as you know, like I was a personal trainer and a nutritionist and, working out all the time. And when I would get home from work, Cody, during the flood, he wasn't getting home until like 11 o'clock at night some nights. And so I'd put the kids to bed, and then I'd do my workout at 8:30, 9 o'clock at night. And I started running a lot more. And that's when the running bug got caught up with me a lot. So that was now 2.5 years ago. A year and a half ago is when I really got heavily into the running. I was starting to run maybe around 300 miles a month, which is pretty crazy. Now, yes, I was praying for people while I was doing it. Yes, I was still taking care of my body. I was not damaging my body. I still was cycling. And, if you know my background with my fitness story, I had lost my cycle with that. So, I wasn't having body image issues. And I was like, oh, this is fine. No worries. Like, I'm running a lot, but I still have my cycle, and, I'm praying for people, and it's okay. And I was telling a friend at our co-op, because I felt like she'd understand. And I even said that before I started speaking. I said, okay, you are a person of faith. I think you'll understand this. I think God is Zechariah-ing me right now. She looked down and she went, I know exactly what you mean. And I was like, oh, thank you. Thank you for not thinking that I'm crazy. So here's what I mean by that. If you know the story of Zechariah, God said, hey, you're going to have a son. And he went, no, I'm not. No, I'm not. Well, after that, because he didn't believe in God, he couldn't speak until the baby was born. Right now, he didn't fully believe God. I feel like right now God is trying to teach me a lesson. I feel like God is trying to teach me a lesson because I had become dependent on running. I had become dependent on running because it was my escape. And if I didn't want to deal with an emotion, if I didn't want to deal with something, I could just go running and poof, like I could just forget about it for a little while. You know, if something happens, I'd sort of deal with it, but then I'd go for a run and be like, it's fine. And I think right now, and this is what I was talking to that homeschool mom about, she had said, yep, God always shows us that we can't do anything without him. And I didn't think I was I really didn't mean to try to do anything without him, but running was an escape. And I think right now is another crucible moment. And right now is really difficult mentally and emotionally, spiritually, and physically too. So getting hammered with all four, thank you, God. And I mean that because not having a temporal item is a change of pace. When really I should have been relying on God all the time. I should have been relying on priests whom I had gone to before for guidance, really pressing into my Catholic counselor who I trust incredibly much, but I wasn't. And that was foolish, but that's human and it's in our human nature. So I'm learning a lot of lessons right now, and I'd be lying if I said I didn't sit 2 weeks ago when I hit that cancel button on going to Boston, that I sat and cried like a baby and threw a little temper tantrum. But that's okay, I'm still human. And another thing that this mom and I had talked about was, I don't think, and this is where the whole like Zechariah-ing comes into play, is that I don't think I will be able to run again until I fully put my trust in God, like completely. I feel like I am right now. I feel like, okay, like you have these situations, you have them. I may falter a little bit. I think I'll be able to run again. I'll be able to swim again because I still can't swim comfortably. I will not be able to do what I want to do physically until I fully rely on him and dive deeper. He's calling me to something different right now, and it's really neat. A little frustrating because, again, I'm human, and I'm like, what do you want? If we rely on the temporal, we become lost. And then he calls us back home if we are willing to hear him. So don't get caught up in the temporal. Those are just two examples. Those are like, I don't know, I think these are the two biggest examples, you know, that I feel like I've dealt with right now. I think the most frustrating part of my knee is that like nothing is torn. Nothing is torn, but my knee is swelling. So, but that's okay. My dad has reminded me, just do the work. And when we try to buck the system, God's system, we falter. And I faltered the other day because I got a little overzealous and I went swimming, and then it started aching while I was swimming, but I kept swimming. Like I sort of like dragged my leg a little bit. But then I went to PT the next day, and my PT looked at me and he was like, your knee is swollen. What did you do? And so then I couldn't do like all the exercises. And in my head, I heard, just do the work. Just do the work. Stop it. So I'm not going to PT tomorrow because my knee is so swollen. So lesson learned. Take a step back from your life. How can you rely on God more? Is he calling you to something deeper right now? He may be. But you need to be open to listening to him. You need to be open to hearing him and following his plan. And it's really hard and it's frustrating sometimes, but he has your best interest at heart because, you know, like we came from him and we want to go back to him. Like our soul yearns to go back to him. And so he gives us so many opportunities to go back and to fall into his arms and to love him because he loves us. He loves us unconditionally. So lots of temporal things to get caught up in. I know a lot of people are completely off social media. All right, so let's work on refining ourselves and getting out of the temporal together so that we can honor Christ and get close to him. Which path are you gonna take? The pity party or the path to growth? Path to sainthood. Always remember to stay fit, stay fearless, and stay faithful. If I can pray for you in any way, please let me know. Have a wonderful day. Take care, everybody.